Gary here from Pathways Homestead, and today I want to talk to you about something that we get asked a lot about, especially when we're at conferences and stuff. We get asked about how to make a living off a homestead, and I'm going to tell you the truth. I've never figured out how to completely make a living off a homestead, but I'm going to talk to you today about what I do to make an income and how it is part of my homesteading lifestyle. There are many videos where they'll tell you if you'll just raise grass-fed chickens, you can sell every chicken for $499 a piece or whatever their price is that they've come up with, and then you can make a living at it. I'm going to tell you that a lot of that's dependent on your area and your market, on what you'll actually get. And a lot of times where you've been able to afford to buy a piece of property out of town, there's other people that have bought a piece of property out of town, and there's not a huge market for stuff that a lot of people are doing. And some people it works for, and that's good. But one of the things that I do, you can see, is I sell firewood, and that's part of my homesteading lifestyle. This is the only homestead we've had where we weren't burning wood for heat, and that will change. I will get that at some point. We will be. So I cut firewood. I've usually cut it for us and to sell, and it's been something we've done for a long time. It works. It's very hard work, and it takes some pretty specialized equipment that's not cheap. It takes a good pickup. It takes a good chainsaw. I've done it when I was younger with just a splitting maul and wedges, but I use a log splitter, so it takes a log splitter, a chainsaw, and a good pickup. But if you're already using those things for yourself, you can use them to cut firewood to make a living, or to make some income. I'm going to tell you that one of the secrets to our income, our homesteading income, is that it's not ever one thing. It's always several little trickles, a little here, a little there. And if you're aspiring to live the homestead lifestyle, and you're asking yourself, how am I going to meet my bills in that lifestyle? How am I going to live that way? I'm going to tell you that unless you've got a pretty good nest egg to start with, a pretty big chunk to buy things and get things started, that I would encourage you not to quit what you're doing for a living, but to figure out how to incorporate what you're doing or what you're going to do into the lifestyle. So firewood is one of the things that incorporates pretty good into a homesteading lifestyle that I do. I also use skills. I've learned how to kind of piddle and fix a lot of things over the years in different jobs. I've worked as a facility maintenance in a couple of different places, and I've taken advantage of that, and so I do some handyman work. And being self-employed and using my tools to go do those things, that fits in fairly good to a homesteading lifestyle. It allows me to do some other things at times, and so I use that to make some of my income. And those are the kind of things that if you have those kind of skills, there's a market for it. If you can fix and make things or build things, there's a market for that, and you can incorporate that into a homesteading lifestyle for sure. If you've got a corporate job or a white-collar job, a lot of times those things can be done from home on a computer. And if you've got those kind of skills, that's a good thing to incorporate into a homesteading lifestyle to make an income. Lots of cars on the highway today. If that's your skills, if that's your skill set, when you're looking at a homestead, you need to make sure that you can get good internet. That would be an important part of that. Another thing I do is I go do ranch work. I've learned to do some of it, and I'm still learning to do some of it, so I'm using my skills. But also, I mean, ranch work, working with livestock, building fence, building pens, those kind of things, that is part of the life of the homesteading lifestyle. And then if you can go use that to work for somebody else and make an income, those skills that you're using every day on your homestead, using them somewhere else, taking care of cattle and stuff, and that's a good income that incorporates into your homesteading lifestyle. There also, another thing that's done here on this homestead is Cindy makes soaps and lotions and homemade jellies and baked goods, and sometimes you guys get to see the videos of her going to farmers market, and she raises extra vegetables, and we raise chickens to sell, and she takes her eggs, and that's another trickle that helps with our homesteading income. And that's definitely part of the lifestyle, and that's, you know, some of you guys have found us through those kind of videos, and that's part of the lifestyle, and that's part of what makes our income. Yeah. Cindy also works off the homestead. I guess we both do. Cindy works off the homestead at a bakery, and those are skills she's learned to do those kind of things somewhat on the homestead, and then she's went to the bakery and they've trained her of how they want things done, and she already had a good base for that, and so she's taken that skill off the homestead and makes an income. And I guess kind of in that subject, there's a lot of skills that are part of the everyday homestead life that do have a marketability, and we tell our kids often when they're filling out job applications, put on there that you were raised on a small farm. Put on there that you're a farm kid, because there's things that you learn, and that you don't think anything about, that a lot of people don't know. My son was telling me today that he's talked to a job and they were tickled to death to talk to a young man that knew how to weld. He's not a welder by trade, but he does know how to weld, and he can make it work. And so the place he was looking at, that's what they needed. They didn't need a welder by trade. They didn't want to pay for a welder by trade, but they did need somebody that could do that if the need arose to repair something. And another thing that amazes me that is a marketable skill is if you can read a tape measure. There's lots of places that need somebody that can read a tape measure, and lumber yards and stuff, and that, believe it or not, there are people that don't know how to read a tape measure. It doesn't take long to learn, but if you're one of those people, go watch a YouTube video on how to read a tape measure. There's no shame in it. It's just something you need to learn if you don't know how. And we raise, I have to mention that we raise chickens and stuff. We raise meat here to sell and hogs here to sell, and that's part of our homestead income. We also we have done many other things. When the need arose, I've worked as a butcher, and Cindy's worked as a para, and she's worked as a cook, and those are all things that we use to make an income here. We tend to not be tied to a full-time corporate type job. We tend to be more self-employed or part-time employed in multiple places. That allows us to be a little more flexible to live our homesteading lifestyle. Firewood is one of the things that I've found that in the season is super flexible. Whenever you have time to go cut wood, you cut wood, and you have it ready, and it sells when it sells. And right now, the past month or two, with us getting into single-digit temperatures and having several inches of snow on the ground, firewood is sold just fine. In fact, I've worked hard to try to keep up with the demand and still work other jobs. So I just wanted to talk to you guys today about making a homestead income. I don't have a formula that if you'll raise certain kind of chickens, they'll make enough eggs to make an income or anything like that. I can't tell you how to quit a $70,000 a year job and make it all up on the homestead on 1.5 acres, like some people have asked. But another part of homesteading income is there's more the more you produce, the less you have to buy. So another part of homesteading income is that if you're producing your food, if you're producing your own energy, cutting firewood, or some of your own energy, fuel, cutting firewood, if you're growing some of your own medicines and things like that, if you're building for yourself, those are things you're not having to pay somebody else for. And so the less you spend, the less income you need. Another part of homesteading life income, I guess, or economy, homesteading life economy, is bartering. Cindy and I barter a lot. A lot of our feed right now has come through bartering. A lot of our hay and those kind of things. We often barter for livestock. We barter for propane. We barter for all kinds of stuff. And sometimes we barter for food items we don't have or need. I've bartered for honey more than once. Hopefully my beehive will be successful, and I'll continue to grow more and have more bees, and we won't have to barter for honey at some point, and we have to buy honey too. But that's part of what I wanted to talk to you guys today about, just a homestead income. And it's more a bunch of little things that tie into the lifestyle. I would love to just stay on my 11 acres and completely make my living here and not have to work off the farm. But I haven't figured out how to do that. But what I have figured out is a bunch of little things that tie in to the lifestyle and leave me flexible and leave me involved in it, and that help make our income up. Cindy gets to do the same thing with her farmer's market and her soap making, and working at a small bakery that she brings home scraps to feed our hogs. I mean, that's part of the lifestyle, right? It's feeding animals. So, and that's kind of the way homesteading has worked for us. But I kind of wanted to share that with you guys. I know a lot of people here that we've been homesteaders for years, so they want to know how to make a living off a homestead, and that's how we've done it. We've used it as a base more than anything, and done several things that tie in. And at times we've just had to go work regular old jobs. That's happened. I've worked a lot of construction. But just wanted to share that with you guys today. Thank you for coming. And remember that God made you special, and He loves you very much.